Today's topic, like I said, is some new tools that we have available for all of you for the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. And also, we've gotten some frequently asked questions come across. We're going to go through those too. Again, hopefully we can get through all of it if time permits, but we'll be showcasing some information on the Prevention Learning Portal. That will be first up. Elise is going to talk about that. EPIS has worked very hard to put this together, and they have a lot of great stuff on there. Lots of great, or two great tools if you're new to the Pennsylvania Youth Survey and you want to learn more about it. There are two modules focused on the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, so we encourage you to check those out. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it right over to Elise so she can get into what's going on with the PLP.
Thank you, Lee. I just want to address real quick, Kevin Kane and Lakaya Hill have their hands raised. And I just wondered if you guys had questions or if that was maybe I know sometimes Zoom, if you talk with your hands, they make you raise your hand. So I want to make sure if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll make sure to address them. If not, we'll put your hand down. Lower your hand. Well, there we go. Yeah. So let us know if you have any questions. And I'm going to address, as Lee said, the PLP. We've all heard the PLP pretty much every time any of us are talking at EPIS. We are promoting the PLP. The PLP is the Prevention Learning Portal. Thank you, Sarah. There you go. It's the PLP, the Prevention Learning Portal that provides free technical assistance on many levels across many topics in our prevention field. The goal of the PLP was to make sure that we had the ability to touch statewide, that we could touch base with anybody nationwide, actually, that wants to access the training modules. Lee, do you want to go ahead and forward the slide? There you go. So right there, you can see the 19 courses that are available. And these courses are, again, available free, no charge to prevention experts, to educators, to children and youth, to parents, to community members, anybody who is inclined to go through any of these courses. They offer Act 48 credits. There are some other continuing education credits. Some of them have social work credits, again, all free. I think the social work credits actually have a cost associated with them to register. But as you can see, we have PAYS 101, just the basics. So if you are new, if you are an individual who has just started your job, either you have changed jobs and you're coming into this career later, or you are a new graduate and you want to learn about PAYS 101, just the basics, that's for you. It really outlines what happens with PAYS, when it's done, why we do it, what do we get from the PAYS. And it's a really great course to be able to go through with that. And as you can see, there's many other ones here: Power of Social Emotional Learning, Bridging the Gap Between Community Agencies, Writing SMART Goals. Some of them are 20-minute courses, some of them are 2-hour courses. So they're always there and available. Go ahead, Lee, if you want to. There you go. All courses are free and qualify for Act 48. There's courses that are coming soon. There's always courses coming soon. So this is something that if you are interested and you go and sign into the portal, you register your email and you'll get probably alerts when there are new courses that come, but they are probably, right now, I think this is our first full year that we've had a full dedicated staff really working on the courses through the year. And I think, Jeff, you probably can say how many courses have been released this year, but it's been quite a few. So we're really creating a strong pathway for prevention and anybody who is interested in the field to have a well-rounded learning experience that's free, that you can use as onboarding for your staff, you can use with school districts, you can use across the board. Go ahead, Lee. There you go. 19 courses. And there is Spanish. So really, we would like, if you could just take a minute, click that quick survey link, should open up another window for you, and talk about the translating into Spanish. We know that at PAYS, we do that with some of the courses, it's necessary a lot of the area, but do we want to prioritize it? So if you get a minute to take that survey, we can add it in the chat too if we want. So that way it's available for anybody who wants to go back and do that. Go ahead, Lee. There you go. Create your account, set up your profile, get instant access. Go ahead. Okay, good. So here, this is really what we wanted to talk about in this group. If you are interested, we would love to promote the PLP in many areas. Again, at your agency, in your schools, whatever you have. Here are ways to share about the PLP. The logo is there. You can make a title and use a short description if you want to add it to a newsletter or if you want to house it on your website. If you have teachers that or paraprofessionals that are looking for Act 48 credits, this is a great place to direct them. And if you have it on a website or in a newsletter, it might be easier to access. I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of this, but you can utilize this at your discretion. It is something that we really would like to promote across the board. And it's very clear right there, 1, 2, 3, it's all written for you. So nobody needs to come up with their own language. The logo is right there. Wouldn't take up much room, you know, a short little paragraph with the link to register for the portal. It would be really beneficial. So if anybody is interested in that or would be willing to do that, I'll make sure everybody has these slides and that they can join us to promote the PLP on their own pages. There you go. And that's it. We are good. So PLP, please, if you all can, just log in. If you haven't yet, explore. There are resources. There are flyers. There's a lot of information there that is free and accessible. So with that, I'm going to throw it back over to Lee so he can introduce our Katie.
Thank you, Elise, and thanks for that great information. I think that's a really good point to discuss about, a lot of folks are always looking for professional development and the PLP meets that need. Do you have a space in your organization's website or school district's website, or who's in charge of making plans for your teachers when it comes to, professional development? Here's a really great resource for them. Love that. So thanks for sharing that. So today we are going to be really the star of our show today is going to be Dr. Katie Poplar. She is going to talk through some of the tools that are available to you, some new, some changed, and then we'll have a discussion. So please get those questions ready. This is really all about who signed up for PAYS, how you can make some changes to ensure the right people are getting the data once it's done, so the school districts don't have to worry about that step, getting that information to the people that need to have it. The people that need to have it, like those who are making decisions for the students, those who are choosing programs, all of those great resources that school districts typically use, who I'm sure a lot of those resources are on this call today. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Katie. So thank you so much, Katie.
Awesome. I am going to share my screen. And open Chrome. Okay, can everyone see that? Sorry, let me get to the right. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if we haven't met or you haven't heard from me, I am Katie Poplar. I work for Lexicon Inline, which is a partner of Bach Harrison. We oversee some of the planning, administration of the survey, and then any analysis and reporting that you see come through is us as well. So if we haven't met, would love to connect at some point, but I'm going to provide some general PAYS updates as we gear up to launch our survey, as well as some resources that, again, we think would be really useful for you and your team. So starting with participation updates, we are up to 429 PAYS opt-ins. As you may know, we are launching our PAYS Junior survey this year as well. It's been piloted in the past. This is the first time that we'll have PAYS Junior reports available. So we are up to 151 PAYS Junior opt-ins, which is great. We have a couple of unsure folks. Those come in when you register. If someone is unsure about whether or not they want to opt in, we collect that contact information. We actually have Elise reaching out to those folks, which is great. So thank you, Elise. Everyone who's registered, we have kind of a mix of charter schools, districts, and non-public. So we're up to 9 non-public schools, which is really exciting. Always looking forward to getting those numbers up. So if you know any non-public schools who might be interested in registering, please send them along to myself or Elise. We have 46 charter schools and 373 districts. We are urging districts to use an online platform. We do have some folks still using a paper or hybrid method, but as you can see, most folks are opting in online, which is great.
Yay, and that was our push, right, Katie? I will
Yeah.
pop in here. I know that Phyllis was really working on that because we're hoping to follow the PDE, who really would like everything to be online testing surveys by 2027, I think. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And we do, I don't know that I included this in our frequently asked questions, but we do get questions about why we urge folks to use online platforms. And there's just less room for like data errors. You get results faster. The whole thing is just really streamlined if we move to online. So there's lots of benefits to doing so. I know Elise has been reaching out to some folks. So if you ever have questions about that, please reach out to myself or Elise. For our PAYS Junior survey, as I mentioned, we have, I think this should be 151 opt-ins. For PAYS Junior, again, 12 reporting that they're uncertain, but we see great representation. So 54 out of the 67 counties have at least one district who have opted into PAYS Junior, which is really exciting. Again, always looking to increase those numbers for PAYS Junior, but we are seeing some great representation. So thank you if you've been a part of that. This has been shared publicly. If you have lost access, if you want access, I think it's available on the PAYS website. Okay, it is. Thank you, Lee. So this is available to the entire public. This is our participation registration tracker. So you'll see that we have districts and counties listed. It is currently alphabetized by county. It'll say which type of school it is, so whether it's non-public, district, or charter school. And then you can see who's opted in to PAYS or PAYS Junior if you're ever curious about whether or not your district is registered. One thing I will mention is that if you right-click, you can sort these fields. So you can see like, okay, there's no information. That means that the registration portal was not filled out yet. So that's a really good idea to know. If your district isn't registered, you can scroll down and see who is registered. So if you ever want to reference to your superintendent or someone in your community, like we see that Franklin Town is registered right now, you're able to see those. And then we do have just our superintendent signature so that you can see when your district was registered as well. So any updates that you ever need for registration, you can find here. One more thing I want to say, when you sort, that does not do anything on our side. So feel free to sort if you want to see it by district alphabetized rather than county. You are more than welcome to go through and sort. That doesn't do anything on our side. So this is really your link to use how you see fit. If we ever make changes to what you're able to see, we'll make sure to update you with that as well. And if you ever are missing information and you're curious about something in your district, feel free to reach out to myself as well. And I'm happy to get you that information. This is just we've been tracking our communications with lead admin, survey coordinators, any superintendent. So I just wanted to share this with everyone, just so you can see kind of when we've contacted folks. We do often get emails that are like, I haven't received information about XYZ. And it is possible when we send out large numbers of emails that sometimes that information doesn't get through. But we have been reaching out to individual districts since April, making pretty consistent efforts to try to get folks registered and to reach out to survey coordinators with any information that they might need as we enter administration. But if there's any information that you're missing, if you haven't received emails, if there's something that you've been looking for, or you're worried that we might have the wrong contact information, whatever, you can feel free to email me with that as well, and we'll make sure that you're in there. Okay. We recently conducted our survey coordinator training on the 11th, so just a couple weeks ago. We had great attendance, almost 200 attendees. We had 3 webinars that we conducted. So folks who were using online method only just for PAYS, folks who were using a hybrid method of PAYS, so paper and online. And then we also reached out to those who opted into PAYS Junior. So we had 3 webinars. We had so much interaction in those webinars, which we really appreciate. Folks asking really thoughtful questions. People were really engaged, and we got a lot of follow-up as well, which is great. We are also launching a web tool experience project. So that's something that is kind of in the works as well if you guys want additional information there. But I wanted to briefly review the frequently asked questions. So most of the questions we received were kind of just logistic questions. How do I access my planning portal? Do I have permission to register a school if I'm not registered, or a district if I'm not registered, which everyone there should have been registered. But do I have access to survey links? When can I expect for those to come in? And so we tried to sum all of this up into our follow-up email, which we sent to survey coordinators. But I just wanted to touch on some of these questions. So our survey links for survey coordinators have been sent out over the last couple of days. We do this like mass nudge where we identify which survey coordinator is overseeing which district. We get links to all of the schools within that district who are participating, and we send those in this like really nice format. Our survey support team is awesome and make sure that everyone has the right thing because there's just thousands of links. So that being said, that has been sent in waves just to make sure that there's no stalling kind of in the system. So if you have not received links by tomorrow and you are a survey coordinator, or you hear from a survey coordinator that they're missing links, please reach out to us. But those are slowly going out right now in preparation for our launch on the 15th of September. We had a couple of questions about just kind of like the survey window itself. So when students are actually taking surveys when you're in your administration window. So some of the questions were like, can I see participation numbers in real time? In which case, yes, you can. That is available in your portal. Will I get reminders to close links? We do have automations for that set up. We also have folks that are in Airtable every day, just kind of looking at who's administering right now, where are they at, do they need help? And so we are customizing, just reaching out to folks as well to make sure that everyone feels well supported, because we know that this is a significant thing that you guys are doing, and we want to make sure that you're supported. Can additional admins be listed as authorized data users? Yes, they can. I will get into that in just a moment. And then any changes to like enrollment numbers, things like that, which can all be updated. You can reach out to me, or I'll show you in the registration portal how those changes can be made. We were asked really often if this was the first year that it was an option to survey 4th graders. We have piloted 4th grade surveys in the past. This is just a part of our research and making sure that we are providing a survey that is well suited for 4th graders, while also making sure that we are going to get rich data that's representative of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it has been piloted. This will be the first year that we are accessing reports and sending those out to districts. So it is our first formal launch of a PAYS Junior survey, but some 4th graders have seen these questions in the past. So just wanted to cover that as well. And then finally, we just got some questions about like, how long does the survey take? When should I administer it? The survey takes anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. We usually recommend that survey coordinators administer in a class period. And all of that information was covered in our webinar. We have so many resources in the planning portal that survey coordinators are able to access. And then I know I've said this 100 times, but as always, please email me if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. One question that we got is the Proctor video. So I wanted to briefly cover the Proctor video. This was linked to all of our survey coordinating and administration materials that have been sent out. If you have access to a planning portal as a survey coordinator, the link to the Proctor video is there. We really emphasize using this Proctor video when you administer a survey. So whether or not folks here are survey coordinators. If you know a survey coordinator, if a survey coordinator is asking questions, please emphasize the value of using these proctor videos. We have gone through several iterations of making changes, making sure it's a really informational rich video. So it's great. We emphasize the value of introducing that to students. If for whatever reason you have restrictions to showing these proctor videos, we do have scripts as well. Again, those were shared with our survey coordinator training emails and planning portals. If for whatever reason, again, you don't have access to it, if you'd like to see it, you can reach out to me and I'm happy to provide those as well.
Katie, I'm just going to pop in real quick because
Yeah.
there were a couple of the 4th grade questions. There is and also a link on the EPIS and the PCCD site to request questions. So if there are any individuals, community members, parents who want a copy of the questions, they just request them the question request comes to me, and then I share the questions and a little bit additional information and resources for individuals, because as we know on this call, there are some nuances to the PAYS and the PAYS Junior. So we want to make sure we have that personal touch to let everyone know those nuances and give them as much information as possible. So the 4th grade questions are absolutely available, and very clearly they are 41 questions that are very different from the PAYS 6 to 12 survey. So I think that just needs to probably be one of the biggest messages that we have is it is a much smaller and much more age appropriate survey for the 4th graders.
Absolutely. And I mentioned piloting. That was a huge part of our pilot research, was making sure that these questions are appropriate, making sure that 4th graders understand them, and making sure that we're not asking the same things that we're asking to an 11th grader, for example. So that's a great thing to include, definitely, or a 12th grader, I guess. Okay, I'm going to go into some data use and web tool examples. We have been receiving some questions about when the survey concludes and you do analysis and reporting, will I have access to that data? And we're really excited to see that people are already asking about this. So we just wanted to cover this before the survey even goes out to administration so that you can make sure you have the appropriate permissions. So an authorized data user is someone who can access your district's data. So in order to become an authorized data user, your district superintendent or whoever is overseeing registration, the kind of big level decisions in your district, they will have to give you permissions to do so. And so there is actually a space in Airtable. I don't have the actual registration form open, but if they go to their registration form where they've opted in or out for PAYS or PAYS Junior, there is a section called Additional Authorized Data Users. They're able to put in names and emails of anyone that they want to authorize as a data user for their district. So what this means is that you will have access to your district's web tool. What a web tool is it shows data via categories, variables, and there is also a crosstab function. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. But the categories page presents survey data grouped by specific categories. So this will be helpful if you're interested in like specific behavioral patterns of 6th graders, 8th graders, etc. The variables page represents individual variables that will be grouped into those categories. So if you want to look at specific variables and see that more detailed information, this is also a function that's available via this web tool. And then finally, this is for more kind of like sophisticated data use, but there's a crosstabs page. So this allows you to compare relationships between 2 different survey questions. It provides a comparison of how different groups answer survey questions. So it's going to be more granular. It'll give you a really nice visual of how to actually compare sets of questions that are available in the survey. So if you go into the web tool and go into categories, for example, you can go down. These are all of the topics that we ask for our PAYS survey. This is 2023 state data, by the way. So everyone has access to state data, the state web tool, and a statewide report. If you want specific district level data, that is where you'll become an authorized data user. So again, this web tool is publicly available for state data. These are the things that we ask. So risk factors and protective factors are a huge one. We get questions about those all the time. Again, these permissions will increase depending on whether or not you're listed as a data user. I'm going to keep it at state right now. You'll have your chart type for either yearly comparisons. So we have anything from 2019 to 2023. Again, this will be relevant for 2025 data, or you can look at a single year. So right now I'm in 2023, but you can look at historical data as well. You can look for specific grades. So maybe you're only interested in 10th graders in a specific region, or you want to see changes over time. So I want to see 10th grade data since 2019 and how those trends are changing over time. And you can specify by gender as well. So male and female. If you go into the variables page, you're able to see categories. So maybe I'm interested in gambling behavior, and then you can pick a specific variable. So these will correspond with questions available in the survey. I might be interested in lifetime gambling. Again, I'm looking at state level data, and this will be grouped by grade or gender. So it'll show you the actual table. You can export this data if you're interested, or it just shows you great visuals. Again, you're going to get really rich data if you are authorized within a specific county, but you will have to be listed as an authorized data user. One concern that comes up when we have folks questioning access to district level reports is anything to do with personally identifying information. I want to just reiterate, we've said this many times, but it always bears repeating, that we will never collect individual personally identifying information. So every component of the survey is anonymous. We don't gather any information. We even have restrictions on a minimum number of participants. And so I just want to reiterate that you will not be able to find an individual person, human, in accessing this type of data. Okay. I'm going to briefly just review next steps before I stop sharing. Again, if you have questions, I see the chat is rolling, so we'll definitely get to those, and I'll drop my email in the chat as well, so that if you have any follow-up questions after today's webinar, you can feel free to reach out to me as well. But just looking ahead, we are launching our PAYS survey on the 15th. So we've got just a little over a week, which is crazy. We are in the process of doing some final registration pushes. So we're sending those nudges that I showed earlier. We are beginning to call districts as well. We always appreciate your guys' support, which actually reminds me that I did not look at the past participation. I'll show that really quickly after this. But we always appreciate your support in getting your districts engaged as well. We know that a lot of you are using this data, you reference this data in your programs or in grant proposals or in all of the wonderful things that you're doing for your community. And so we always value your support in getting your districts registered as well. As always, we try to go above and beyond in providing ongoing support to survey coordinators. Again, we know that this is not always an easy lift, and so we're always here to provide whatever level of support survey coordinators need. We are in the process of sending web links and all paper forms to districts as we are approaching the survey window. So this should be going out today, and maybe into tomorrow. Again, if you don't receive web links or you hear of someone not receiving web links, you can always feel free to reach out and check that. While the survey is in fields through December, we are always monitoring districts. We are nudging people who haven't set a survey window date, but we're also watching you as you're in that survey window. So we want to make sure that folks are feeling supported. We're monitoring participation over time. So making sure that folks are in fields, they're actually administering the survey, and that we're seeing strong engagement in that survey as well. I alluded to this, but I just wanted to show one more thing. So if I can move this, sorry, I just want to get rid of this in the view. so that we can see it. One of the great things that our survey support team did, which I'm just like indebted to them forever, is we tracked participation since 2015, excuse me, since 2013, my goodness, sorry, of the PAYS survey. And so we're able to see districts who have participated all the way back to 2013. And as you can see, there are a lot of districts who have been really consistent in that participation. We have a list of who is currently registered, who has really strong participation in the past. And just as importantly, we have a list of districts who are not registered, who have participated in the past. And so we have been doing our best in reaching out to these folks. But this is where great community partners like you are welcome to step in and nudge your districts at any point. So as you can see, like Cornwall, Lebanon has participated since 2015, but they are not yet registered for the Pennsylvania Youth Survey. And we see this for Eastern Lebanon. We can see this for Harrisburg. We also see some folks who have participated in 2023, so they may have been new to the PAYS, had not participated before, but might be likely to participate again. And so we just want to really encourage folks, especially if they have all of this rich data, they're going to be able to continue making comparisons over time the longer they participate in PAYS. Again, this is administered every 2 years. So if we see that someone participated in 2023, has not participated in 2025, participates again in 2027, and you see those like strong data changes, it's not going to be as useful of data if we don't have any information from 2025. So we want to encourage districts, especially who have participated in the past, to continue registering in 2025. Anyone who hasn't participated in the past, it's never too late, especially now that we have this 4th grade survey. We always encourage participation in the PAYS. We provide really rich, anonymous data that really only benefits your communities. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Katie, can I jump in just really quickly?
Absolutely.
Hey, it's Phyllis. I just want to say, thank you, Katie, for all that really great information. And, as somebody who's been doing this for a very, very long time, and back in the day, we had about 150 school districts participating. We really got in a space of understanding what outreach looks like. And I think all this information we're giving you about who's registered, hasn't registered, is it historic, have they been doing it, have they not? All we're trying to do is help you strengthen your voice and your position when you do reach out to that school district and let them know that you understand. Also, I want to encourage that have an understanding of maybe why they haven't registered yet. Is it a new superintendent? Is it new? What's happening, right? Maybe somebody thought it was done and it hadn't been. You never know. So I just would encourage you, and it's kind of selling 101, if you will, but when you go in there, really have an understanding of history, the why, what's going on, what's the issue there. Also, when you're reaching out, you may not be able to get directly to that superintendent, but really utilize those relationships that you already have built. Maybe it's with the pupil services director or a principal, or and just sort of reach out to them and utilize that space and that relationship, because it will really help, again, strengthen that opportunity for you to get in there. And when you go in and you are well equipped, that helps you also ask questions and they can provide answers, because what you're trying to do is move that needle and really let them know that you are an expert with PAYS. Because if you're joining us today, if you're not already, you're on the road to doing it. So just sort of some food for thought there.
And also let us know, like, if any of you on this call, like we have, there were 75 people at one point across the Commonwealth, across many counties. So if you are having some issues, please don't hesitate to email Katie, myself. Like, we will make sure that we get what you need from there.
And something that I kind of want to reiterate too, because I feel like, it's something that I forget sometimes, but like these resources that we've already shared with you today feel free to share out the web tool to folks. Obviously, superintendents, survey coordinators have access to these resources, but reminding them or using examples of like, this is what I use the web tool for, or I understand that there's really rich information about risk and protective factors, and that's relevant to my work because XYZ. It's can get lost on folks how valuable and how rich this data is if they're not using it every day. And so really encouraging those types of conversations is going to help everyone be really successful.
And that's a great reason, even Kate, sorry, not to cut you off there, but
No,
that
no,
is
no.
also, even if they're registered, it's using your relationship building to go, hey, here's a new tool, right? Here's something that you can use. Here's something you may not know about. Talking about maybe the PLP, something, really going in and using PAYS to help really strengthen relationships is something, as Katie was saying, we don't always think about. And I would also say if a district has already registered, what a great opportunity to just send an email and go and thank you for supporting us. We need this data. Thank you, and really recognizing that support and the continued use of PAYS or participating.
Awesome. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen just so I can see the chat.
Okay, so I'm going to reiterate what Phyllis said. Thanks for all that, Katie. That was really great. And just to drive that home, I think a lot of people don't realize and your focus on risk and protective factors in this conversation was crucial because PAYS is the only survey that gives us that information, right? And without that information, we aren't able, I know I work for a single county authority, so like all of our decisions are PAYS based, right? Like we use the PAYS to drive all the work that we're doing, the programs we're supporting, and to have access to that data that's already figured out for us, what students are experiencing as it relates to risk and protective factors is just priceless, truly. So I just want to reiterate that to the group. Like this is why it's so important to have this information from our students. So thank you. So we are at the point where we would answer any questions, and I know there was some information, some questions back and forth in the chat. I don't know if Phyllis, I know you were answering questions. Elise, you had answered a couple questions. Anything you all want to
There's a
review
couple.
with the group?
There's one thing that I would like to talk about if I can. Again, and Katie has said it a million times. So just email us and we will get what we need. If you have different people involved, you need help talking to superintendent, school board, whatever you need, we can provide those tools for you. I'm not saying we can work magic, but we certainly can provide those tools. One thing though that I would love to, well, Sarah has the same cow painting as Phyllis, so there you go. One thing I would like to address is if you are in this webinar and you know that your school district is participating in the 4th grade survey. So PAYS Junior, this is our first, iteration of our real survey. It's really what we're doing. We've done our pilots, we've done our science, and we are right now discussing reporting and what you would like to see from that 4th grade data. And right now, I think, Katie, you had said what we have 45 counties represented in the 4th grade data. Now, it may not be able to, we do have thresholds to make sure we're non-identifiable. It may not be a huge report, but is there anything that this group feels that they would really like to see from that 4th grade data in a reporting? You've all seen our PAYS reports, and if you haven't, you can glance at one to see what they provide. But is there anything that pops off the top of your head that you'd like to see from 4th grade with the data? And maybe there's not, but I wanted to throw it out.
And maybe I also too, Elise, I just add that maybe you're not quite as familiar with the questions. So would there be an opportunity they could email you later if they had a chance?
I've already been, yep, for sure.
You can email Elise and get a copy of the questions, first of all.
First.
And an excellent point, Phyllis, if you guys want to think about this as a thing, like how do we want this data to look? Like what do we want these reports to look like? Send Elise an email, please.
And Deb, you've asked the question, is fourth grade included in the executive summary sent to districts? We are still trying to figure out what that's going to look like. This year's reporting is going to be a bit transitional, possibly, but we had a big meeting about it. Looks like it's going to be separate, right, Elise? Katie?
I don't know if we've determined
Right,
officially.
but we haven't finalized anything, but we're sort of thinking right now because it's a lot to sort through, and fourth grade is very different. If you haven't seen the questions, it is nowhere near the same. But I think that, and Fiona, to your question, will there be a statewide report on PAYS Junior? That was to Katie's point earlier about we are having good representation. We don't know it. Yes, there'll be some level of state level report, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet till we know what participation looks like, and what it will go. So Natalie, you've perhaps something along the lines of, do you have older siblings in your home who engage in fill in the blank behavior, or who encourage you to fill in the blank behavior? So just a question, thought for the future.
And we take it all in. I hope that everybody does, we hear your voices. It might take a minute. It might take something like this iteration of the PAYS has the social media questions, and it's taken a bit to get exactly where we want to be, but we hear all of your voices as to what do we want to hear. We added Zin. We're really trying to make it the best survey that we can to give you the information that we need.
And to really stay on top of what you need now. Not necessarily, and that may look different than what you needed 10 years ago, right? And I think that that's one of the beautiful parts of what we have here. And we are very unique in the nation in that we have a very strong leadership team. We have a lot of involvement. I'm very proud to be a part of that. And that, but our team listens. We do try to listen to what folks are saying, and Buck Harrison and Katie and her group. I mean, everybody coming together. This is a big, big effort. And we can't, PAYS is sort of, it's a lot of things to a lot of people, and trying to get, but we also have, if not the longest, one of the longest surveys in the nation. That fine balance there, right? And I think one of those spaces, we're trying to be really mindful about what that looks like, moving forward. So definitely, stick with us. Let us hear from you, Fiona, I just wanted to just make a comment. Fiona had asked about if you have the school district that is split between two county, a county divide. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And basically the way that reporting looks is SCAs sort of decide, are they included here, or are they included there? And there's a bit of a formula, but if you want to, if that is happening in your space, that definitely letting, reach out to your SCA, ask a question, sort of, and they'll have a formula of how they've done it in the past and be able to help you out with that.
Yeah, and there was one thing that I just wanted to touch base also, that everybody has very different school settings and what happens. We did have I just like to raise concerns and issues that we have dealt with. So if you are dealing with the issue, that maybe that is helpful. We have one school district that has an attorney on their school board that feels that passive consent is not an appropriate path for the PAYS survey, even though they have participated since 2013 and probably beyond that also. But there was some school code that was cited, and we kind of dug deep into our IRB and our team of attorneys to make sure that we were on the right line, and that passive consent is acceptable and an absolutely appropriate way to provide consent for the PAYS survey, and it is. So we have that language. So if that comes up in your school district, or if it comes up with one person, unfortunately, this is one school district or one person on the school board, and this school district has said they probably will not participate. I'm continuing to work with them to say you do active consent if they feel that it's appropriate. But again, it just shows and gives us a great example of how one person can really make or break if the survey is done, and then you lose all of that trend data and any of the data that you want. So just keep in mind, things like that we can help with. We can be an extra set of eyes, ears, support to make sure that we're getting the appropriate message to the school boards, to the community members, and we want to make sure that it's in the best light possible. So those are just a couple little things that are good to share with the group, because this
And
group is a lot of, you guys know it, you know the PAYS, you're here for a reason. So I want to make sure that you feel supported in this project.
And I will also just add to that as well. Any parent can take their kid out. I mean, that is a legal right they have. So if they don't want their child to do it, that's okay. They can sign the paper, say, take them out, right? I think the key that I will say, if you have youth or students who parents have opted them out, that during the proctor video, the kids are also told, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I would encourage as a district, you have a really good plan in place to figure out what you're going to do with those kids. Are they make sure proctors have a list of students, make sure, kids know that, and sometimes, just putting their head down on the desk isn't enough. You want to send them to I don't know, the auditorium or wherever, right? But it's something that I would encourage. If you haven't revisited that in a while, I would definitely, and Katie, I know in your coordinator training, y'all talk a lot about that, but just saying for some of those of you who might, a little broader list of ears, if we will, here, to think about that. We have in the past have had where once in a while things happen. A parent signed their student, said, I don't want them taking it. Well, the student wanted to take it, and so they took it. So just trying to get ahead of issues that could potentially happen in that space. That don't happen often. And quite frankly, it is not usually an issue, but just sort of thinking ahead, right? The other thing I'll also say, and to Elisa's point, there is such a small number of school districts, I mean, 0.000 whatever percent of school districts that are active. Active participation will highly and highly hurt your participation. It will. We've had districts whose school boards have become very conservative. They've moved to the space, we only do active. They do it one time that way, and then they swing back because they see the value of the data, and really understanding that. But there's, I always like to look at things and taking the approach of opportunity, having the questions available at the front desk. If a parent has a question, Elise is going to send you, if they want to see what they are, Elise answers questions all the time. It's about transparency. Y'all do that all the time with your parents, right? You want them to feel connected, have a place there. That opens up an opportunity for a parent to come in, and I will just about, won't say every time, but you'll see the vast majority are going to go, oh, okay, great, not a problem. Just wanted to know what they were. And I think having these little added spaces really can also help you around PAYS, can also help you as a district to develop those relationships with those parents. So just always, that's how my little brain kind of works. How are we building relationships and strengthening them?
Right. And I do always like to add in this too, whatever the alternative is for your students who aren't taking the survey, don't make it more fun than the survey.
Good point. Good point.
Gonna do that thing. So it might not be putting their head down on the desk, but don't make it more fun than the survey. So any other questions, panelists, that I've missed? Anything else that we want to address before we wrap up?
Was there any other questions from our group? This is a lot of information. Fiona, back to your comment about the report. I completely agree with you. I think once this report comes out with fourth grade, I think it's really going to be a super useful recruitment tool next time. We've got a great majority, and I'm going to say I am shocked at pleasantly shocked at how many districts are willing to do it. And I think once that reporting comes out, they're going to go, oh, this is good. We want it. So again, we do look for those numbers to increase over time. Definitely.
Okay, so just a friendly reminder, we will be meeting again. October 1st is our next First Wednesday webinar, so please join us. And you know, if you know people that should be a part of this webinar, then please invite them to come and join us. They can sign up on EPIS's website. If you want to get on the list, you can also email Elise. She's given her email many times in the chat, so thank you for that. And we have information here about for EPIS's website, but also we encourage all of you to like us, like EPIS on Facebook, because you will find lots of great information on there about the PAYS regularly, plus other really great prevention resources. So Elise will be sending out a survey to the group, an evaluation for today's webinar. So please participate in that. And if you have any questions, again, you can reach out to Elise. You can click on the link on the PCCD PAYS website. You can scan the QR code. Anything that there's lots of options for that. So please reach out if you do have any questions. And that's it. Anything else from the panelists?
Yep, Christine, if you want to email me, I have a list right now. I'm going to send them all out this afternoon and into tomorrow. So anybody who asks will get the 4th grade highlight reel and the questions if you just send me a quick email.
And thank you all for participating today.
Thank you. Bye,
Great.
everyone.
Bye.
Oh, we got a heart.